Welcome to my channel. I'm Carmen with Dots to Dreams. In this video, I'm jumping into painting on CDs. So we're repurposing these CDs that are no longer useful to us. Feel free to dot along, relax, and let your creativity wander with me. This is the pattern that I'm going to be working on, and we're going to use 4 colors in a gradient and 1 highlight color. But first, let's go over how to prepare your CD. So here is a CDR. That's the type of CD that you'll want because a DVD will not be able to remove the film as we're going to do. To get started, you'll want to get a pair of scissors. Be very careful. And you simply want to just make a little notch. I mean, it's really just a little microscopic notch, because anything more you would end up scratching the CD. Then I'm going to get some packing tape. And I'm going to lay it across the CD just like that, to make sure that we get a good amount to come off at once. I'm going to simply just press it down as much as I can, pick up the other side. Look at that, isn't that amazing? So we'll go ahead and turn our CD. I try not to waste too much tape. So we're going to do the very exact same thing again. And then the very last piece. Okay, now there are just a few little pieces left. So I'm just going to cut a small thing of packing tape. And I'm just going to roll and pick up the remaining amount. So that we have grid lines, I'm going to use my print off that I have here. And I do sell these print offs in my Etsy shop. I have 13 different spokes in different numbers. And what's nice is you can print them off as many times as you need, and then simply cut them to size. And so it doesn't move around, I'm going to use some painter's tape. And then here's my CD, and we're going to go ahead and prep it to make sure that we don't have any of our fingerprints on there. So I'm using rubbing alcohol and a Microsoft towel, and I'm just going to gently wipe off all around to make sure that there are no fingerprints. And then to make sure that it stays in place, I'm going to use just a little piece of painter's tape on the side. We can always remove it later. We just don't want it moving around. All right, now we're ready to get painting. So when I paint my pattern, I'm using 4 colors, and typically in a gradient, and then I use a highlight color as well. So this is the pattern that I will be following. I'm going to use slightly different colors. So feel free to use any set of colors that you would like to use. And I decided to go with something a little bit more moody. So I'm going to go with a teal, a blue, a red violet, and then a cranberry wine. I think that's going to be after. And I normally put it in order by the rainbow. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of this mermaid tail, is this one, or a teal, if you want to follow my color pattern. I'm running out of this one. It's one of my favorite colors. And then going in order, I'm going to use a blue. This is a Royal Navy. And then, see, I want to use one that's more purple at the end. So we'll do the cranberry wine next. And then something closer to the purple, and this is a red violet. And then for my highlight color, I'm going to use Worn Penny this time. In the past, I've been using gold, but again, I want to do something a little bit more moody. Now, if you just like the pattern and you want to do it on a regular wooden surface or a canvas, the size of our project will be about 4.75 inches. And I'm using 16 spokes. If you are painting on a canvas, you're going to need to do a center dot. So you'll want to start off with your yellow 12mm dot, and you'll want to put your highlight color there, which would be either your gold or your bronze or silver, a metallic color, and make sure that you swirl it as well so that it just doesn't lay flat as a metallic. After that, we are going to go to our large end of the blue stylus, which is 2.5mm, and we're going to do a ring of dots. And you're going to put a dot on each grid line. All right, so we're going to do another ring of dots, and we're going to use the smallest clear rod, which is 3mm, and we're going to go to our color number 1. And you're going to dot between the existing dots. if you notice, I skip every other section and then I go back and go between, and that makes sure that I'm laying each dot consistently, because if I'm getting too close or too far, at least that will help even it out. Now we're going to go up one size to the middle clear rod, which is 4 millimeters. And we're going to go to color number 2. And we're going to continue to dot between the lines, or between the dots, excuse me. And it should be landing approximately on the grid line. If it doesn't, don't stress about it. This is one section, and we're going to move to another section, and the next section will balance it out. We're going to go the next size up, which is the large clear rod. That is 5 millimeters. And we're going to go on to color number 3. We'll still be dotting between the dots of the prior row. And again, if it's not landing right on the grid line, that's perfectly fine. Basically following the grid, the circle, and staying in the circle, that's what's important. Now we're going to go to the next pattern, and we're going to use the large blue rod, which is 8 millimeters, and we're going to go to color number 4. And this time we're going to place a dot on every other dot. So the way that it's coming out on mine is the dot is barely going over that circle. And this time, regardless of where my last dots left, I'm going exactly on the grid line because this is the new pattern. And so if you kind of got out of where it wasn't exactly, that's okay because you won't be able to tell. But on your next pattern, you want to kind of reset. I'm not really happy with this first dot. It looks like the paint needed to be maybe shook a little bit more. And that's where these little silicone tools can come in and really help you out. To get that paint out of there, especially anytime that you're painting on glass. And I want to make sure that this one is really stirred up because it looks like there was a problem. A little bit watery. Okay. Those dots look much better. So now we're going to go to the large end of the blue stylus, 2.5 millimeters, and we're going to walk the dots and kind of make these into little, almost like leaves. So it'll be almost halfway down this line. Place the dot and then just walk all the way around. If you notice on the other go around, I always tap the center. That makes sure that my next dot is fairly consistent with the one next to it. Because if I start right at the next one without tapping the center one, that one will be the same size as this one. Now we're going to go to the large end of our green stylus, which is 3.5 millimeters. We're going to go to color number 3, and we are going to start here, and we're going to drag all the way up in a straight line. So it's a swoosh or a dot and drag, but we're going to start right there. So get a good amount of paint, touch, and drag. The slower you go, typically more paint is allowed to come off your tool. With our same tool, we're going to go down to color number 2, and we are going to place a dot on one side of the grid line and walk the dots up either side of the swoosh. So I'm going to dot on the other side of that grid line. So on the next pattern, we're going to put a different dot there in a different color. We're going to use our same tool, the green stylus, large end, 3.5 millimeters, and we're going to go to color number 1, and we're going to place a dot on each grid line right above where that circle is. We're going to continue with this tool and color. We're going to dip, and then we're going to make a swoosh, but we're going to hug this pattern that we just did. So similar to a comma stroke, we're just going to hug as far as we can go. Remember, the slower that you go, the more paint can come off the tool. You're going to continue with the 3.5 millimeter large end of the green tool, and now we're going to work our way back up the colors. So we just used number 1, now we're going to go to number 2, and we're going to do the same type of stroke, but this time we're going to bring it up. So instead of being down here hovering above that line, we're going to go up just about to the middle. You'll place your dot, and then you will follow the prior swoosh. Now we're going to continue with the large end of our green stylus, 3.5 millimeters. Now we're going to go to color number 3, and we're going to make another swoop, but this time instead of going between the line, you're going to go right below this line right here. And you'll follow along just like you did before. We're going to continue with our 3.5 millimeter green stylus, large end, and we're going to go to our color number 4. And this time what we're going to do, because this will be our next pattern, is we're going to start here at the edge and make another long swoop. So we're going to continue with the same tool, same color, but this time what we're going to do, we're going to do almost a hug around this flower, but we're going to leave some space. So here in the middle of these two grid lines, I'm going to aim for the center. And then I'm going to hug and bring it down to meet up with that swoop. So in the middle, hug the pattern before and bring it down to your swoop. So now we're going to switch to the other side, the small end of our green stylus, which is 1.5 millimeters. And we're going to go with our highlight color. And we are just going to put in 3 dots, walking the dots. We're going to start about where it would be even within here. And we're just going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to go to our middle or medium clear rod, which is 4 millimeters. We're going to continue with our highlight. Actually, the rest of the pattern will be with our highlight. And we are going to put 1 dot on this flower, 1 dot on each grid line. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape. And we're going to use our large end of our green stylus, 3.5 millimeters, and we are going to walk the dots on either side going towards that dot. Continue with our highlight color. So we're going to dot and just walk all along that edge until you reach the other side. Then you'll want to go to the other side of that large dot and do the same thing. And there you have it, our completed project. You could actually use these as Christmas ornaments. Aside from sun spinners, any sort of art that you want to hang it, you could hang it in front of a window to catch the sunlight. But here we have our different ones. Allow it to completely dry. And if you're going to hang it outside versus indoors, I highly suggest using like an automotive clear coat so that it becomes weather resistant. If it's indoors, it should be fine with a spray sealant. But make sure that you use a spray and not a brush, because if you use a brush, it will have brush strokes. So make sure that you're using a spray. Again, whether it's an automotive protectant clear coat or a clear spray sealant. And again, if you want to get a little drill and drill a hole, you could tie a ribbon or some fish line. Thank you for spending this time with me and creating this sun spinner slash ornament slash sun catcher. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like it and subscribe, and it helps me to keep sharing more art with you. Thank you.